Good morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Antarctic Press, a comic book publishing company founded in 1985, and creator such comics as Warrior Nun, Ninja High School, Marvel Ramon Givers, Tomorrow Girl, Penguina, and a host of other comic book characters. You know, there's a lot of people out there talking about how to extend the reach of comic books, and that's fine, Distribution is always very important, especially in comic books. That's something, though, that I've come to learn not to really involve myself. I can think of ideas, but without the capital and the money, and the investments to implement those ideas, they're just pipe dreams for now. I had an idea where I was going to buy some spinner racks, contact some local convenience stores around here, and talk to the owners and set up little tiny spinner racks in their store in exchange for carrying the comics and see how it went. Sort of like a micro experiment, as they say, and see how they do. But it takes a lot of effort and money. And I'm just a one-man operation here, and I just don't have the time or the effort or the energy to implement that program. Maybe someday I may do it if I'm fabulously wealthy or not FU money, then I might be able to do it just to see how something like that would pan out. However, the one thing that hardly people talk about is the fundamentals of our business, of the comic book industry. It occurs to me that there's something fundamentally flawed with what we're doing, what the comic industry is doing. There's our own movie, Kevin Costner in it, called Field of Dreams, in which there was a saying called, "If you build it, they will come." What does that mean exactly? Well, at first I thought, the whole premise is that if Kevin built a baseball field in the middle of his cornfield, that the ghosts of baseball legends would come and play on the field. And that's pretty much it. But he had to build the field first. And that's really what it comes down to. We have to build the field first. What is the reason people went to comic book stores to begin with? That's the fundamental question we should ask ourselves. Why did we make creatures of habit? Why do we have comic book collectors anyway? Because they want to read the stories. They want to be entertained. They like reading the stories. And that's what the fundamental flaw is that we have to give people a reason to want to buy comics. If we're not fulfilling our obligation as creators to create something to get the readers back in the comic book stores, then what are we doing? What's the point of our existence? You can be perfectly content with creating your own material and selling to a small group of fans and readers, and that's fine. If you can make a living doing that, great. More power to you. But if you want to extend your reach to go beyond your small group of readers, you have to create something that will appeal to a mass audience. And what is that? I don't think anyone's come up on a magical formula, but there are things that will appeal to certain people. Comics, have the reach if they sell. It's something that people will buy. People always say, hey, man, well, what about Dogman? What about manga? What about, Captain Underpants and stuff like that? Yes, technically, those are comics. And yes, technically, they have reach because, you know why? They sell. People want to read them. Then we have to create something that a publisher will look like that has reach, and they say this will sell to a big giant public audience. Now, for most of us, that'll probably never happen. We're not going to have the reach of Dogman. Manga is relatively cheap because it's already been produced, and they're pretty much just reprinting material they've already pretty much made their money on. To be honest, it's to them it's an easy way to make money for the manga publishers because they've already paid for the material, and all the sales here in this country is just gravy to them. They produce thousands of manga. I mean, literally thousands, hundreds, thousands of manga because, Japan has economized their manga industry to the point where it's become super efficient, and they, a lot of manga artists, people don't realize, you're seeing the cream of the crop here. You're not seeing the manga that's being produced in Japan that fail, or don't have appeal here. And, you think it's tough here making comics? It's even tougher in Japan. All you're seeing are the people who made it, who are successful. Japanese manga artists, they work hard for very little pay. You think they would lead the life of Riley over there? I got news for you, buddy. So it's all about the content, and also knowing who your audience is. That's the most important thing. Now, a lot of people like to compare themselves to Marvel and DC. They think they can compete head to head with them and bring them down. I think maybe the closest anyone's ever done was Atlas Comics back in the 70s. I mean, even they couldn't sustain themselves, because Marvel and DC, Marvel and DC, you think that they're just benign comic book publishers. Oh, no. They're insidious. They are very, very cutthroat, highly competitive comic book publishers. If they see a threat on the horizon, they're going to do everything to take it down. They are not idle. Don't think of them as being just this fun comic book company that produce your favorite superheroes. Oh, no. They are not anything like that. Their primary motivation, especially Marvel, is profit, profit, profit. Money, 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 money. They'll do anything they can to make as much money as they can. They'll exploit every single idea possible. It's just now they begin to realize they don't have to do it anymore because Big Daddy Disney has deep pockets and they're willing to subsidize their indulgences. So they don't have to really create anything, for their old audience because they're not incentivized to do so. Why bother? Walt Disney sets the agenda, and we have to follow it because they own us now. It's just editorial interference, I'm sure, on a high level. Now, I don't know this for a fact. I just hear rumors, and the talk, things like that. But quite frankly, it is what it is. You can't do much about it. So, how has Anarchy Press survived these last almost nearly 40 years? I'll let you in on a little secret. We are creator-owned, but we also create our own IP. So it's a mix of both creator-owned and company-owned properties. Everything I create belongs to Anarchy Press. I'm fortunate enough to be just talented enough that I've created something that the company can exploit. That they can make money off of without having to worry about uh, royalties to me, or having to deal with a difficult creator. Because I'm pretty much a company man. Says, hey, yeah, sure, let's do that, let's do this. Plus, I'm a good shill for the company. And I'm a fairly benign spokesperson. So, my job is to convince you to buy Antarctic Press because we're the alternate. We're different. I mean, that's what it is. We are. We are the alternate. We're different. We're proud of that fact. To take on Marvel and DC at our size is suicide. And there's no reason for us to commit suicide, at least not yet, anyway. The thing is that growth has to be organic, has to be natural. If you want to overtake Marvel and DC, you have to provide something that will overtake Marvel and DC. You have to create a character so popular, that they can't be stopped. It can't be stopped. And even then, what's going to happen? They're going to buy you out. They're going to say, or destroy you in some other fashion. You create a character that's starting to outsell. This is what happened to Captain Marvel with Fawcett. I mean, not people may realize this. Back in the Golden Age, Captain Marvel, Shazam, was outselling Superman. And DC did not like that. No, sir, not one bit. At first they lost a couple of lawsuits against them, but they kept trying until they finally found a judge that was sympathetic to their argument, and they destroyed a major comic book character because they were jealous. They were jealous because their character was not outselling another character. So instead of competing, we tried to make their character better. Finding out why the other character was better, they decided to take the legal route, and sue them, and they won. Because by then stories were starting to wane anyway. But imagine if they had lost. Imagine if DC had lost again, and Captain Marvel kept coming out with new stories. He could be more popular than Superman. I mean, hard to say. In a what if world, that may be a fact. So if you want to really help the comic book industry, create content that will give people a reason to return to comic book stores. Fill a niche that's not being filled. Provide entertainment to people who have no entertainment. When Antarctic Press first started, you may not realize this, but manga was unknown. Nobody knew what manga was. The word was not in the lexicon yet. In the comic book industry, no one knew what a manga was. It was just a strange new word that started to pop up here and there, especially among anime circles. But I was a big fan of manga because I discovered it in the 70s when I was very young. I brought it over here. And believe it or not, Antarctic Press was the very first publication to do a comic book with the word manga in it. Yes, it's true. Our very first publication was called Mangazine. And the emphasis was on manga. American grown manga, yes, true. But there was nothing else at the time. And we decided that early on that our focus was going to be on creating material that wasn't being served. We knew there was a market for steampunk. We knew there was a market for cyberpunk. We knew there was a market for furries. We knew there was a market for adult comics. We knew there was a market for all sorts of genres that were not being served. We've done westerns. We've done romance. In fact, we've done LGBTQ comics. We've done all sorts of weird, unusual, alternative type slice of life comics. We've done all sorts of weird comics because, they say it's better to be a big fish in a little pond than a small fish in a big pond. Let Marvel and DC have their have their way. You know, let them wallow in their market. You know, because quite frankly, you know, it's better for independents such as ourselves to focus on creating new material that will attract a new readership. You gotta, you know, the thing about it is not really just not only content but awareness. You know, awareness is also very important. Now, how do you make people aware? You know, you would think with the internet that has the potential to reach millions and millions of people, that would be easy to advertise something, but it's just as difficult than it is when you had to do print media. In fact, probably more so because everyone can do it. So you got to go through all the traffic. People have to actively be looking for you. How do you get people's attention? You know, and that's very difficult. But I promise you this: if you create something people really love, they'll find you. You know, and if they like what you're doing, they'll support you. And that's where you have to. That's where we have to shine as creators. We have to be willing to create material that people will buy. And not only that, you know, create on a consistent basis. You know, you take Marvel and DC, if they were independents back in the golden age and they just occasionally put out a Superman title or Batman, you think they'd be nearly as popular? No, they put out a monthly title on time, every time. And that built habits. You know, people can go to the newsstand every month or every week or, you know, wherever the consistency was and know that the latest Superman title, the latest Human Torch title, the latest Captain America title, the latest Batman will be there on the newsstands at that certain time, like clockwork. You know, when you have inconsistent schedules, people tend to fall out of habit. So that's a thing that needs to the comic industry needs to rebuild. Is, you know, once you have content that people like, you need to get them back into being creatures of habit. You know, create stories. You know, and I'm not going to say that's easy. It's not going to be easy. You know, because if you like most of us, we're a one-man operation. You know, and we have usually day jobs, we have side hustles, we have ways until we can make the comic pay for itself and provide a living. You know, we have to find other ways to create income, and that takes away time from creating comics, because comics take time to create, just like anything else. You know, time is the one thing we cannot buy more of, so you have to use it as efficiently as possible. Spend every waking day that you could spare to create comics. I'm lucky because that's all I do all day. I just sit around my desk and draw comics. I draw every day. You know, when I'm not at the desk, which of course I can't draw if I'm away from the desk, but, you know, I try to make up for it later on down the line. If I miss a day, you know, instead of doing one page, I'll do 2 pages. If I miss 2 days, instead of drawing, you know, 1 page, I'll try to do 3 pages, you know, and I try to set deadlines for myself so that I always am creating something new. Right now I'm working on 3 separate books, and I'm trying to at least do 1 page on each book every day, you know, to maintain that consistency in that schedule. So I'm just saying that as content creators, you know, we have to seriously look at our content, you know, and see what we're striving to achieve here. You know, everyone wants to think that their content is the best content ever, that deserves, you know, their spot in the pop culture limelight. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that dream if you want to achieve it, but it's going to take a lot of hard work, and it's going to take a lot of consistency. It's going to take reach, and you have to have created a subject that people resonates with. You know, those are all a lot of factors you have to take into account, and, you know, there's also a lot of comic books competing for the very same thing. So yours has to stand out. You know, so in conclusion, it's just one of those things that I think is important to the industry is creating content that will resonate with people and that will get them to come back to comic book stores. So anyway, if you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I really do. I do like reading your comments. Some of them are a little spicy, and I don't mind that. I'm not offended if it goes in that direction. Until next time, this has been Dunn signing off.